image or the link to the article you're reading, it saves it as a note in Google Keep. So it's really good for saving things for later. Do that often. So again, you can also, using the mobile app allows you to save those pictures. There is a Chrome extension where you can save if you happen to be browsing and reading something online on your computer. So you're using Chrome. There's a Chrome extension. If you go to the Chrome Web Store, where you can save to some website that you're looking at, you want to refer to later. It'll save the link to it also in Google Keep. So there's really a variety of ways to use it. But most importantly, let's talk about how to do it with students. First of all, it's a great way to get students to start jotting down instructions. Real simple way. I like to use it for students to take notes during a gallery walk, a guest speaker, or a video. So when I'm doing a gallery walk, it all depends on your school's policy from mobile devices. I'll let kids use their. I mean, they're so good at typing with their thumbs. I'll say, here, take your phone out, use Keep, and take notes as you browse the gallery walk. It's great for taking quick notes as a guest speaker. It's pretty cool to take notes on a video. We'll talk about using the Dualist Chrome extension later. When you split your screen in half, you have maybe the video on one side that you've pushed out to them using Google Classroom, and then you split on the other side, you have Keep open so they can take notes on Keep as they are watching the video. So that's pretty cool right there. Google Keep now has been updated where it really integrates with Google Docs now. Any Google Keep note you take, there's an option. If you hit the three little dots on that note, what you can do, it'll copy all the information on the note straight to a Google Doc saved in your drive. It creates a brand new doc for you. So if you're taking notes with Keep, it can be transferred immediately to a doc, which can kind of spur that writing process. I think that's pretty cool. The other way that it integrates with docs is that now you can go to your tools in Google Docs, and Google Keep will be an option now. And on the right side, you'll see a little a pane will on the right side of the screen will open up with all your Google Keep notes, and you can go from note to note and transfer information from that note directly onto your doc. So it's pretty cool that way. Group projects, again, using the sharing function, kids can share to-do lists with each other, and that's very good for collaboration. The way I always do it with students, I have them to set the time and location-based reminders for homework. In my district, we spend lots of money giving them these paper planners that pretty much they just tag up all the time. They're doodling on. They may write stuff down, they never look at it again. But guess what? They're always using their phones. We know they're going to look at their phones. So I tell them, hey, your homework, okay, before you leave, write your homework down in a Google Keep note. And I tell them, if you know what time you're going to do your homework tonight, set that time reminder. If you don't know what time you're going to do your homework, set the location-based reminder. Put your address. And when you get home, it's going to remind you. And I tell them, well, Keep will remind you to do your work. It can't make you do it. So you see that notification, if you just swipe it, that's on you. But we're helping to really help students eliminate that excuse, oh, I forgot. I work with middle school and high school kids, and it's surprisingly enough, and pretty funny that many of them don't know their address. So the location-based reminders could be problematic. So I tell them, well, all right, you don't know your address, that's fine. Well, where do you live next to? One kid told me the first time I did this, he says, well, I live by McDonald's. I'm like, well, put McDonald's in there. So at least when you walk by, you drive by it, your phone's gonna remind you of your homework pretty close to home. So always ways around it. And again, for kids, color coding is always a great idea. So Keep can be used with students. It's a very underutilized and unknown app. So again, I encourage you to give it a try. So I can sit here and talk all day, but let's go ahead and kind of decompress for a second. Any comments or questions for Google Keep? Anyone want to share anything else that maybe I missed, or anything you'd like me to go over again?
I had to step out for a minute, Adam. A Wi-Fi crashed. Lucky, yay. Anyway, I don't know if I heard you say this or if it wasn't there, but someone had showed me how you can put a rubric into Google Keep and then transfer it into Docs. Was that something that you talked about?
Yes, you can. Yes, that's a very good idea. You can on the tools for docs, you click on the Google Keep option. It opens up on the right side, and right there it shows you all of your notes, and you can pull those notes one by one, as many as you like or as little as you like, onto your doc. So I've seen a really cool way to give feedback to students. I forget the name of the person. It's on the tip of my tongue, who found a way to put emojis on different notes. So when they're reading students' work that they've shared with them, if they see parts that they really like, instead of just writing a comment, they'll put an emoji that kind of represents what they did, and you can pull it straight from Keep right there. I think it's really cool. Yeah, you can do the same thing with a rubric. So yeah, that's a good question. Any other questions before I move forward?
Okay, so you said that the Keep reminders, so when you put your Keep reminders, they show up on Google Calendar, right?
You know what? I'm not certain if they do. I mean, I set reminders all the time, and I get the reminder shows up on my phone as a notification. I don't really see them on my calendars. You can do that with the Google Tasks in Gmail. So if you're looking at your Gmail page and you just click up there where it says Mail, it gives you the options for Mail, Contacts, and Tasks. You can set little reminders. It's kind of similar to Google Keep. Doesn't have all the features, but when you set the reminders on those, it will show up on your calendar. So,
okay, I think that's a good tip. We're going to do like a freshman tech camp, and I want to try and give them some tips like that.
There's some similarities between Keep and Tasks. I use both of them. I like having Tasks open because I have Gmail open all the time. It's good to have it at a glance. I usually keep like my things to do over there because I can just glance at Gmail. It's sitting right there for me. Keep is when I'm trying to saving information that I pulled off the internet, if I want to make a list that I want to remember later. That's where Keep would join in. Yeah, it's a good question. They're both very useful.
So Keep kind of is working for you like Pocket.
Yes.
That app,
yes.
Pocket. I remember loading it up, but I never actually used it. So maybe I use that instead. Keep instead.
Because Pocket, it's good for saving the stuff that you pull off the internet. It works that way as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Oh, all right. So go ahead and continue here. Oh, it doesn't want to cooperate. Come on. There we go. All right. So another part of Google Keep that people don't forget is using the Ocr technology. This is really cool. Using the mobile app to take a picture of some kind of printed text, and it'll take that text and put it onto a note for you, and then you can manipulate the text from there. There's like this big quote or even a paragraph that you see printed on a wall somewhere. Take a picture of it with Keep, and it gives you that text. So you see the example over here on the bottom right in the image on this slide. I took a picture of this little flyer that I had made, and if you see below it on the note, it took the actual text from the paragraph you see there, and now it's editable. I think that's a really cool thing. That's really good for a gallery walk with students. I've done it when I've been in PD before. I've been in sessions at conferences, and we're doing gallery walks, and they have these graphics up there, and I'll take a picture of Keep, and now that text becomes mine. I don't have to sit there and stare at it, copy it down. It's right there for me. So that's a very not very common feature of Keep that people really realize, but it's a pretty cool function. So now we'll going over taking notes with Google Docs. Really, I'm not going to get into real strategies about the note taking with Docs, but I think one of the most important things that students need to understand about taking notes digitally is how to organize them. I tell this story all the time. Is organizing your drive. This might be just as much about Drive as it is Docs, but as far as taking like serious notes where I want them saved, Docs is where it's at. Again, you can start the notes on Keep, and it translates straight over to Doc. That's very handy. But naming conventions is something that students, especially if you're going to start a freshman tech camp, this is a tech boot camp. This is the thing I tell my freshmen every year. You need to really improve your naming conventions, because I've seen them over the years. I look at their drive and I see nothing but untitled document, untitled document. They can't find it. I tell them a story of my old college roommate who didn't do a very good job of naming his files, and he had a deadline at midnight on a Thursday night, and he uploaded the wrong file, and he thought he turned it work in. He shows the class the next day, and the professor says, "Hey, you gave me the wrong one." And he's like, "Well, okay, my bad. I put the wrong by accident. I got the name wrong." And he says, "I'll go fix it." The professor's like, "No, you failed because you missed my deadline. That was it." I wouldn't advocate that for our students, but that's the reality of some colleges there. And naming conventions is huge. So I have two examples of kind of how I like to organize. I teach students to organize their notes. Again, whatever works for you, or actually whatever works for a student. If they have their way that works for them, have them go for it. But always really hammer it home in the beginning of the year about naming conventions. Like I can't stress that enough. In our district, Avid is huge. You get any Avid people out there? Just no, maybe. Well, Avid's huge. It's pretty big in our district. We are a national demonstration school for Avid. You know anything about Avid? Cornell Notes is their go-to thing. So if you're into Avid, I have a link there to a Cornell Notes template on Google Docs. So Avid's very paper-centric. But if you have to worry about those Avid teachers who want kids taking their notes with Cornell Notes, that link there will take you to a Cornell Notes template so they can take Cornell Notes digitally. So it's pretty cool. This works with Google Classroom. If you save that template, you can then stick it on your About tab of Google Classroom, so kids can always go back to it and make a copy of it every time they need to use it and take their Cornell Notes digitally. So here's an idea that I have for taking student notes with using a kind of an Appsmash here with Docs and Classroom. So when I was in the classroom full time, student note taking was part of their grade. For me, it was a method of proving that they've done the reading. So this Appsmash is kind of combining the Docs and Classroom. So if I know I wanted to take some notes on an article or a section out of a book, I'm going to kind of try to remove as many hurdles as possible for the students. I'm going to say, here you go. I create a blank Google Doc and I title it, and I make it and I add it to an assignment in Google Classroom, and I make sure that and I attach it to the assignment, and I make a copy for each student. So it's pretty much I've handed them their own paper to take notes on. It has their name on it already. It's pretty cool. Then I attach the link to the video or the article, the document I want them to read or view. And once they're ready to start taking notes, they open their version of my document, and when they're done, they can simply hit Turn In. It's up there at the top of the page when you distribute it, the doc, using Google Classroom. So the cool thing is that all their notes are now organized automatically by Google Classroom. Classroom it's not an LMS. It's, as I've been told before, I believe it was Alice Keeler said that it's the greatest file management system we've ever seen, and she's absolutely right. So pretty much it organizes it for us. It organizes it for me to view their notes, and it organizes it in their drive for themselves so they can't even lose it. So I've always had the trouble of kids over the years losing their notes. Well, this kind of completely eliminates that. I have the kids use the Duelist extension so they can split their screen to view the document, the article, the video, and watch it on one side, take notes on the other. And again, Classroom, it files and organizes the notes for you. It's a brilliant little Appsmash that I've been using for a couple of years now. So, I mean, that was a drinking water out of a fire hose. So I'll go back to any questions about that little Appsmash. Any comments, some feedback, I'll open the floor for a minute.
So I have a question, not so much about the Appsmash, because I think I got that covered, but about the extension for the Duelist that you talked about. How is that different than just the scissors and glue extensions?
Thing is, with Tab Scissors and Tab Glue, you have two separate extensions.
Okay.
Duelist, it's both of those in one.
Okay.
So it's
you have to click it time and it puts it everything back together.
Sorry, it keeps cutting out. The thing about with Duelist, you can then you can split your screen at different ratios. You can go for, I think it's goes from 3 to 7, 4 to 6, or 5 to 5, so it's equal. So that really helps.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, I remember over the years, in the beginning when I got into this business, I would use tab scissors and tab glue, and then I just kind of stumbled upon Duelist, and I haven't gone back. It's been running with it ever since. So I'm the Google Apps admin for our domain. So I push that out to all student accounts. So when they log into Chrome, they all have it. So it's pretty good. So I don't know how the settings are in your district, but I would definitely find who's ever in charge of your domain to push out that extension. Very useful.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that's do y'all do privacy terms, blah blah? Do you vet your extensions and apps? Because that looks like a good one.
Yeah, I'm in charge of that, and yeah, pretty much my district has trusted me with that. So I decide which apps. I ask teachers. The cool thing about the Google Apps domain, if there's a teacher that wants their students doing something specific that no one else is doing, I can group them all in one group and really customize their Chrome experience. I can push certain apps and extensions to them. So again, a lot of times in this with Google Apps, it's an IT person who's in charge of it.
Right.
And the trick, in my experience with IT guys, bring them donuts. They usually.
But I mean, you've vetted that, and so it's okay to use for the student, kind of a thing.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Love it.
All right. Good questions. So let's get through this here. The internet will cooperate. So down to my favorite part of this session is DocHub. DocHub is something that I kind of came across. I stumbled upon it. I was new to Google and I was learning it, and I wanted a way to annotate PDFs was what I wanted. I really wanted to, again, this whole session is about ditching that copier. I was tired of making copies. I wasted so much time over the years at that copy machine fighting just to get on it, and then you get there and the toner's out, and then you're just frustrated, and it really just takes the joy out of teaching. And I spent so much time dealing with the copier, I lost so much valuable time where I could have been designing these innovative, creative learning experiences for students. And once I learned how to really ditch that copier, and DocHub was one of my first tools that really helped me cut the cord from that copier, my lesson design just took off because it saved me so much time. It's really great for efficiency. So we have a lot of these great resources that we've developed over the years. Using the word worksheet is a kind of at least in circles where I run, it's kind of a bad word. I wouldn't say that about all worksheets. We have some pretty good graphic organizers, some ones that really are designed to really get kids collaborating and thinking. So I would say take those really good worksheets and those graphic organizers, those thinking maps that you have, scan them, make them a PDF, and you don't have to spend time at the copier anymore. You can use Google Classroom and send it out to them. It's real simple. Pretty much DocHub is a Chrome app that allows you to annotate, type, draw on, etc. PDF files. These edits can be saved to Google Drive and submitted through Google Classroom. So as a history teacher, one of our big things we've done in my district is called the DBQs, the document-based questions. So we have these primary sources, these 10 to 12 page packets with different primary sources throughout history that kids are going to read, they're going to analyze it. Making copies of that for 180 kids was not a very fun experience. So when I became a tech coach, I took those packets and I scanned them. So I had the digital copy of all of them. And I shared them with all the social studies colleagues of mine. And I showed them that you can, when you want to assign this packet, it's sent out through Google Classroom. All they need is viewing permissions, and what they do when they click on the file, the PDF file for this packet, up there, if you look right about here, it says open with when they're looking at it. If they open with DocHub, then it opens it up in DocHub, and they have all these different tools where they can begin to they can draw on it, they can type text into it, They can put stickers and stamps on there. Like you can even sign. There's even a place where you can save your signature and you can sign documents digitally. There's all these different tools that you can use. You can highlight. That's a really cool one too. And another way, it's excuse me, I'm indigestion here. And it's totally changed the way that I taught history. I had when I was giving up those 10 to 12 page DBQ packets, the next day, oh, Mr. Juarez, I lost mine. Well, now they lose it. It saved me so much hassle. Again, you can use the Duelist extension as another way of, there's a lot of ways for them to read and take notes. So if you want them to take notes on the primary source first, they can take notes on a Google Keep or Google Docs while they're looking at this PDF file. So it's yeah, I could talk here all day about it. But on this slide, and again, I will share with you the link to this slide deck at the end, where it says right there the edits can be saved to Drive and submitted through Classroom. I have a YouTube example that shows you exactly how to do this. So if you don't, again, I'm not showing you how to do this in this presentation right now for time constraints, but you click on there. I have a screencast that takes you step by step on how to open a PDF with through Google Drive, open it with DocHub, and I show you the various tools and how they can turn in their edited version of your PDF through Google Classroom. It's really cool.
So Adam,
Yes.
Saves the PDF with their notes on it, right?
Yes. So they can mark the text all they want. They highlight it, they draw all over it, and DocHub saves their own copy of it. Their edited version goes into their drive, which then they can turn into you through Google Classroom. So your original is not going to be messed up at all.
Okay, and then they can always refer to the original if they.
Yeah. So the cool thing is when if they, let's say they're working on it for a little bit, and then they come back the next day to start it again. When they reopen it the second day, they have the option. They can continue from where they left off, or they can start all brand new.
That was going to be my next question.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. And again, this is just a free version. Does all that stuff. I actually, for myself personally, I use the paid version. It's like $6 a month. And it gives you a few more options that you can't get with the free. But the free version is pretty much everything you would need with students. So, it looks like Corey's here. What's up, Corey? Showing that thug life, Corey.
What's up, Adam?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. How's the weather down there in Simi Valley?
I'm actually in Camarillo, so it's a little cooler here. Ask Diane about Simi.
Oh yeah. So it's 108 here in the Central Valley. So.
Oh yeah. No, we're better off.
See me's between you two.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's a long way for me, but. Yeah, I was.
There's my video. There's me.
Yeah, there's Corey. It's kind of a half-faced Corey as usual.
Yep.
That's her signature there. All right. Well, good to see Corey's here. I'm glad you guys have better weather than me. So let's move on to Note Anywhere. This is a really cool little tool here. Note Anywhere, as you can see in the screenshot I have on there, it simply allows you to take notes on any web page in any position on the page. When you open it again, your notes are loaded automatically where you left them. If you look at the screenshot right about here, this is the extension right there, and whatever website I go to, however many notes I left there, it puts the number. So it kind of reminds you how many notes you left on that page, and it's only visible to you. When I teach this to students, they ask me, well, can people see it? Like, no. As long as you're logged into Chrome, you're the only one that can see these notes. So it's just a simple little tool here, but very useful. I used it when I did my master's. When they gave me these big, long online articles to read, I would put my notes all over it. The same way you may do it when you're putting sticky notes in a book or a packet someone has given to you. So it's a cool little tool that I discovered not too long ago, and it did help me with my master's. And our students out here in Arosi really have taken a liking to it. So with Note Anywhere, anyone see some value in that? Am I the only one?
Yeah, I could totally see that using that for our Genius Hour projects, where they can write the note directly on that website, so that they can go back and see what they had to say when they're confused about their own notes later.
Yeah, it's
Like
it's real simple.
A Digo
Go
kind
ahead.
of thing, too? It's kind of like Digo, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you keep breaking up. It's probably just me. My Wi-Fi has been the twilight zone today, so.
I just wonder how it compared to Digo.
Oh, okay. I've heard. I never used it, but I've heard of it.
Okay.
Let's see here. So, where did I get? I'm going to kind of wrap things up here in a minute. But again, these are the main takeaways here from this as we review Google Keep. Just a quick way to take quick notes, some lists and reminders that can be then pushed over into Google Docs to really kind of jumpstart the writing process. That's the way I kind of sell it to my staff, is that it's a great way to jumpstart that writing process. You take the notes quickly on Keep, push it to Docs so they can start manipulating those notes and turn it into writing. Google Docs, for me, the most important thing is naming conventions. Students really need to improve that, and at least in my experience. And going back from Docs to Keep, you can now access Keep through Google Docs using the tool drop-down menu. Doc Hub, it's, again, like I said earlier, it's like free Adobe. Annotate, type, highlight, underline stuff on PDF files. And again, it does integrate with, it says Docs there, I should say, it integrates with Google Classroom. The Duelist Chrome extension, in review here, it splits your screen in different ratios. So it's great for reading articles, taking notes, or watching videos and taking notes. So it's really good to teach students that multitasking. The way I remember I kind of discovered Duelist when I was doing my master's a few years back. And the way I would take my notes, I had a doc open on one side, my article on the other, and I would highlight, copy, and then boom, paste it over immediately. Think of the CASP, having students having to drag and drop and go from one window to another. If your students aren't very familiar with that, I know our kids were, the first year of the CASP were just completely, they were mind blown. They didn't know honestly what they were doing, especially with the layout and the touch and feel of the CASP. Year two, I pushed out the Duelist Chrome extension, and just the exposure to that, having split windows like that, and manipulating text and information from one window to another. Our scores didn't jump up dramatically, but our kids were much more comfortable with the feel and the layout of the CASP. So that's a kind of a cool little byproduct of using Duelist. And then lastly, their Note Anywhere, again, adds sticky notes to your websites, and they remain whenever you return to that website. And again, it's only visible to you. So I'm going to go back to the first slide. And if you go to this short URL, it's the goo.gl/2vppsz. It is case sensitive. That will take you back to the slide deck, and you can access it whenever. That takes you right to the actual page on my website. You can always find my website at techcoachwadas.com. If you click on sessions and you find the one for EdChangeGlobal 2017, you'll see all my sessions all on one page. So you'll always have access to this. And again, probably the fastest way, the best way to get a hold of me, and Diane sure knows this, Corey does too, Twitter. I'm very quick to answer on Twitter. Here's my email address. I'll kind of go back and just kind of tie this all together. The Dislike Copier, I've done this this session for, or versions of it, for a little over a year. And the whole idea is to kind of get your feet wet with going digital and really learning to take those first steps toward digital note taking. But again, just going digital is not the end game. Because if you're just going digital, doing what you did with paper just to do it digital, you haven't really changed anything. But it's going digital will improve your efficiency, which will allow you to then give you more time to design those empowering and innovative lessons and learning experiences for students. That's the end game. Dislike Copier is just kind of help you take that first step. So I'll kind of leave you with this. I've talked about this here by standing on the shoulders of giants. One of the giants whose shoulders I've stood firmly on for years is a friend of mine. He's pretty big in our business here, John Carippo. I've known him since I was 4 years old, and
No way.
he's inspired me. So, ever since I was 4 years old, he's been an inspiration in my life. We could talk about that later. Talk about it for a while. But John, the first time I sat into a session with him, the biggest thing I learned from him was what he said at the very end. And John said that, whenever you do a session with me, you have free tech support for life. And he gives out his cell phone, about 5 or 6 different ways to connect with him. And I tested it out. I've heard people say that when you do reach out to him, he responds promptly and as fast as he can. I mean, someone who's a titan of our business will go to someone who's brand new like that and connect with them. That's huge. And I've benefited from that. And if someone like John Carippo can do that, I can do the same thing. So again, like John does, if you come to a session of mine, you have free tech support for life. Tweet me, it's probably the best way. Email me, however you like. You can find all my contact information on my website, techcoachwaters.com. You can just do the Contact Me tab and find a way to connect, and I will get to you as soon as I can. So yeah, that kind of wraps it up. A few minutes early. I kind of have to continue with another session here in a minute. So kind of a busy schedule. Funny thing is about this whole conference here. Normally when I apply for conferences, I'll put 3 or 4 in. Hopefully I'll get one. Then I got all of them accepted. So my next 24 hours is pretty busy. So, but I'm up for the challenge, and it's been great. So if you guys have any other last minute questions, we have a few minutes if you want to go ahead and pick my brain or give me some feedback.
Just on the Doc Hub. Okay, so I was looking and there's nothing on like extensions. So I'm assuming that when you open it in Google Drive, I think you said you can open it with Doc Hub. Does that mean you have to have Doc Hub open, or how does that work?
No, you open up the PDF file in Drive, and it gives you the kind of the preview where you can look at the file.
Right.
And at the very top of the page, you'll say Open With. And
Okay.
choose Doc Hub from it. If you don't have Doc Hub connected to your account, when you open up the Open With, it'll say Connect more apps. Go there and you just browse through there and just do a search for Doc Hub, and then it connects Doc Hub. You'll have to allow permissions for Doc Hub to access your Drive, and then you have it connected forever, and then you can open up any PDF with Doc Hub. You can even,
so as long as you signed in with Google Drive or your Google account, you're fine.
yes.
Perfect.
You can even set Doc Hub to be your default PDF reader as well. So you just double click on it and go straight to Doc Hub. I've done that with my accounts before.
Good. Is it more reliable than Cami? I wasn't liking Cami, even though that was recommended to me.
Yeah, I prefer it to Cami. I think it has more features. So yeah, if you ask me, I mean, both work. Cami does work. It's functional, but if you ask me, Doc Hub is the way to go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for showing up, and I'll be back here in about 5 minutes. Me and Catherine doing our Twitterize the Classroom. So, if you got time, join us then.